Hey everybody. So we're into May now, and like late May, and this is the first time I've ever taken Hickory off of the farm where I boarded him. So when he was trailered to me, I didn't own a trailer yet, and so we'd been at that barn for over a year, just slightly over a year, and I bought a trailer over the winter and worked on trailer loading him, which I was able to get him on the trailer, but I was really uncomfortable with that slant bar, which is what you see us working with here, because I wanted him to take ownership and stay in that spot so I could close it, because sometimes he would want to flip around in the trailer and walk out. So Kaylin Messer, that's who you see walk up there, that's the instructor at the time who's helping me with trailer loading practice. And we're discussing, what's the word I'm looking for? Like techniques and just the process of all of this. You know, what do we do? What's the best way to approach this? How do I give him the responsibility of standing in the trailer? This is my first time trailering him anywhere, so I'm taking a lot of information in. I'm nervous, like I was nervous about taking him there. I was nervous about driving on the highway there. So it was a lot of information coming my way as we're sitting here talking, and we discuss different things along the way here with trailer loading. And I'm not going to put like the whole video up, because you get the idea. I was really just trying to get comfortable, seeing where I had some holes in my training to get him on and off the trailer, but he's a quick learner, and I'm grateful for that. So we were able to really get there and practice and see some of the mistakes and learn from them, and you know, that's the best thing. So once I start getting him off the trailer, the great thing about this first outing, Kaylin was really patient with him and I, very kind, but also had, you know, like any trainer, a firmness that told us what we needed to work on. And so I appreciate that clarity, just like horses do. And so we eventually make our way into the arena, which is over to the left of the screen, and it's a big indoor arena. And again, the first time I've had him in an arena since I got him, and so she let him loose, and so my mom is taking the videos, so if they're a little shaky, she's holding the camera. I totally was so engulfed in the moment that I forgot to give her the tripod, but she was so awesome about remembering to video stuff and kind of capture these moments, which I'm grateful for. So in this portion of the video, you're just going to see him kind of exploring this arena. It was like 100 foot by 200 foot, so it was pretty big. And he's just wandering about, sniffing, and there's some bleachers over on this side and a gate, and so he's just kind of being curious and cute. And you know, his energy is a little high because he's like, where are we and what are we doing here? But he wasn't totally ridiculous either. I thought he was a very well-behaved gentleman. So we're just kind of letting him wander around, and I'm going to go get my saddle here in a short bit. And there he goes, out to that right big garage door. I'm going to go out there and get my saddle and get all my stuff and get him tacked up so that we can start our riding part of the lesson with Kaylin. And so just letting him blow off some steam, and we're kind of talking about his behavior and whatnot. When I do go out and get the saddle, it was kind of funny because he walked over to the other door and he was like, where did my mom go? So he was very worried about like where I was and if I was coming back or if I was leaving him there. And this was a big moment of truth for us, because he had to kind of learn like, oh, mom and I can travel together and she stays with me and we go home, which he never had before in his life. The only time he had ever been trailered was to new locations. Once to an auction, once to a new farm, another time to a different trainer, and then to my boarding barn that we are now. So this is the first like big excursion for the two of us to see what it's like to travel and train together. And I think there's a lot of nerves behind that until you just like get in the truck and drive the trailer and go to the different places and learn. So now I got him saddled up, and I had been struggling with getting the bridle on since I got him. He did not love taking the bit. So Kaylin kind of explains some ways to approach this that makes it more respectful. But it also brought me concern, because it's like, why doesn't he want to take the bit? Like, I've seen plenty of horses that you can give them the bit and they take it on, and, they don't seem to say no about it. And there's no stress behavior. But, it's one thing at a time with this as I move forward, just trying to figure out what's, where are the issues and where not are the issues, and what am I overthinking, which I can totally do. So she's just kind of going, she turned away so that, we could get into a more open space, and she's just showing me how she would approach putting the bridle on, so that way you can kind of control his head, get the bit under his chin so you can get the bridle situated, and then work it into his mouth and over his ears to where it's more comfortable, which was much more helpful and less dilly-daddling around for the two of us. So we did get very good at that. The bit still is something that he didn't love, and it did create some level of anxiety. So we'll talk about that in future videos, and kind of how I approached that, and what I changed and have started to discover and explore, which I think has been, good in the long run. So, but not to jump the gun here, this is where we are now. So I'm just kind of practicing the way that I go about it. And she's just kind of showing me like where I'm missing some of those steps, like where I put my hands and how I move my hands, so that way it makes it more easy and stable and clear for him to know what I want. So she came back and showed me put the bit under the chin with that left hand on the top of the bridle, switch with the right hand to the top of the bridle, then use the left hand to help guide the bit into his mouth. So that way I'm not in this like awkward hand thing, and I have more control over the situation. So that was much more helpful, and I did a much better job at it. And I'm able to do it pretty effortlessly now. But it's funny, because she was saying it's like patting her head and rubbing her belly with a lot of things when you're first doing it, and she's absolutely correct. You can complicate things as a human. So you'll see me switch there, and then put it into his mouth here, and he's a very good boy. And we get it on, and then I'll latch it up, and we'll have the bit on. So we try not to overdo it, but we want to make sure that I'm clear about what it is that I need to do, so that way we're not doing it over and over to where Hickory's like, goodness gracious, how many times are we going to take this bit in and out? But I'm sure he's also just like, what is mom learning here? Like, this is all very new, and he definitely likes to stay near me whenever another trainer tries to kind of take him off. He's like, whoa, what's happening? So you'll see as Kaylin takes the reins and walks him over to the mounting block. So again, he's got his head up there. He is like, what is happening? So I'm just kind of standing, I'm watching, I'm listening. You know, he's been so anxious since I got him that at this point I'm just trying to take in information that can maybe help him be calm and be more confident in what we're doing. So she's kind of talking me through how to get him to be relaxed at the block, to get him to step up to the block so that the reins mean something when I ask him to do something, and to get him to stand still, because he was very fidgety. He was going through this thing where he was very fidgety at the mounting block. He would nip or bite at my leg. He never actually like bit me, but he would kind of reach around and almost like a warning, like, hey, like, I don't like this. So there was some levels of anxiety or worry that was occurring from the past, some kind of learned behavior or something that created him to where he's like, I don't want to do this. So it's been a lot of retraining, which is great for me, and it's great for him, and he's learning to do that. So Kaylin kind of jumps on and off, with the mounting block, just to kind of show me how to approach it. You can definitely see he's being a very good boy, but there's some displacement behavior. His tail's kind of flicking. He keeps reaching his head down and opening and kind of gaping his mouth at times. So he just gets a little worried about stuff. So those are things that I noticed that weren't going away at this point, being with him over a year. This is why we're trying different trainers. We just want to see, like, how can I help him be more comfortable with this? Like, I want him to be a willing partner. I don't want to feel like I'm forcing him to be at the mounting block or forcing him to be ridden. I want a motivated mind and willing partner, as I think many equestrians do. So, we're just discussing what to look for, how to create that meaning with the reins, getting him comfortable with jumping on, and he knows that the mounting block is definitely the right answer, so he's very good about standing still at the mounting block. So she's going to have me take over here pretty soon. She tries to kind of explore and see, what we're dealing with so that she can help guide me. So then it's my turn, and I step up and we start the mounting block process, and we kind of take a little brain break here, just let him walk around, get away from it, so that way I can approach it with him on my own. And this has definitely taken some time. Like, you'll even see this in future videos of how the mounting block process it had to be broken down into the simplest steps again, like he was being started over. But I think it is absolutely for the best if you have the patience to start over with your horse and just like start from the beginning and make it clear and concise, like, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. I think that it makes it for such a better relationship, because then he absolutely knows, oh, this is what she wants. So now I'm just sitting up there, and I'm trying to get what I call my go button to work, which has been stressful. He doesn't want to leave the mounting block. So at this point, I'm just trying to ask him, can you walk on? Can you go forward? So sometimes it takes a little bit, and he'll kind of spin around the mounting block. So you kind of saw him do that in the beginning. And so now, as we kind of get going, his head is still high while I'm riding him, but I gotta say that it is much less as high as in the past, like in the last training situation. So, and once we get walking around, he does start to kind of relax and lower. Now, one of the things about all this is later I'm going to explore saddle fit again, because I had a saddle fitter from the St. Louis area come out that everybody swore by, paid her to come out, and she really wasn't that helpful. I had 3 different saddles for her to look at. She looked at them on him, had me sit in them, and this particular one she said would work. So this is what I've been riding him in for a little over a year now. And remember, we're coming out of that injury too, so this is a big deal for both of us, you know, for him to be carrying me again, for him to be kind of building that muscle and that strength again, because he had, you know, 4 months off while his leg recovered. So this is, for me, this is a huge thing. Like, we're literally back in the saddle again. I stopped taking lessons for a while and just tried to figure out like what approach I wanted to take into my future. And so this is our first lesson together since that injury and since all that stuff. So it's really exciting, and he's doing amazing. Like, he's listening and he's trying, and it just, you know, horses really can humble you. You know, you can overthink and worry about all these things and then find out that all the what ifs and worries that you had in the world, as my husband said, like 98% of them don't even come true or matter. So yeah, we're just wandering around and doing our thing, getting comfortable, exploring the arena, you know, not really asking for too much. Like, we're just trying to let him get comfortable with this idea and see how he does, you know, with his forward. And, you know, he does kind of want to wander back to the mounting block. So every now and then, when he seems like he's drawn like a magnet to that mounting block, I will ask him to trot off, is what Kaylin had me do. And you know, just and what's so cool about this particular situation is, in the past, it was always about getting him in front of my leg. And I know that there's a lot of people who use that terminology. Knowing what I know now, I think that getting him in front of my leg would have come better if we would have found more motivation in his movement and less anxiety in his body. But I didn't know what I didn't know, so, you know, I pushed him a lot to go faster and faster, and that's usually where the anxiety would like overload, and then he'd worry. So there is so much value in slowing down and just letting your horse be with you at the walk and practice stopping and things like that. You can see where he reached down right there and he kind of gaped his mouth open. So that's the first time since I've been on him, other than the high-headedness, which shows anxiety, you're starting to see this displacement behavior of some stress. But with the situation, he did amazing. I mean, this was a lot of information for his body and his mind to take in. So I would say for our first outing, for our first lesson after his injury, he is such a good boy. And Kaylin was so patient with us, and I was really grateful for her taking the time and letting us come to her facility. And, you know, we did go back for other lessons, and, you know, it was a wonderful help for us to step forward and start our new journey. So this is kind of where that journey begins. And I'm excited to show you, you know, where we're going and where we are now. It's still a long road ahead, but as usual, thanks so much for checking in and tuning in, and I'll see you next time.